We also talked about
arson.
James,
In fact,
we did.
We had 2 arsons in here, just for the record.
We like where your head's at. We thought that is an option. And if that doesn't work, you can try the Mean Girls version, which is a burn book.
Just burn that client.
Like, this client is so aggravating. And that's really therapeutic as well.
There's no tactful way to say, you were wrong, I was right.
I feel like my most difficult clients have made me as good as I am today.
Yeah.
Okay, this case study is called Come Get Your
Hello, friends. The episode you're about to listen to is a previously recorded podcast therapy episode. We had a group therapy session within our Hustle Humbly community, and it went so well and was so productive, and so much good work was done, we wanted to share it with everybody. So we're all just going to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, okay? And we're going to listen to this podcast therapy episode and just embrace it. Embrace the process, okay? We're going to do some good work here today, but only if you're open to it. Thank you for being here today. You're already taking one step towards improving yourself.
Thank you so much. I would just like to say that this was in our community group. Did you say that?
I did.
Perfect. Okay, goodbye, everyone. Enjoy this episode.
So fun. She loves being a character. That's her favorite part.
Okay, well, good news, everybody. Do you want to do like your official lead-in? We have slides today.
We do.
Are you going to use your therapy voice? I don't know what that is, but
Thank you for being on time for your appointment today.
it's 2:04 for the record.
Let's remember this hour is about you and everything else outside of this room today. We're just going to let it melt away for a minute while we focus on you and being present with yourself and your body and your breath. Like that?
That was really good. Be present with yourself. And you might have noticed we're not real doctors.
At the bottom, not real doctor.
Disclaimer.
Okay.
Not real doctors.
Despite some of the emails we received that we cannot share today because we are not real doctors, but we very much enjoyed reading them. And we do have some really good case studies of things that we're going to discuss today.
Yes, we do fancy ourselves good at advice, I think. So
Yeah, psychiatric help, 5 cents. We're here for it.
the doctors are in.
Yeah.
No, not real doctors.
So we have some case studies that we're going to go through today, and we're going to give you our advice. These are things that were written into us, requested to be chatted about. Everyone is remaining anonymous, okay? So,
But if this happens to be your case study and you'd like to jump in, feel free to chat.
yeah.
All right, let's read it. Number 1.
Are you wondering how to market yourself as an agent in the digital age? Enter Modern Agent Social Club.
Mask is the marketing membership that pairs current content trends with timeless strategies to help you grow your real estate business from the comfort of your couch.
When you join Mask, you'll have instant access to relatable and approachable content every single month because your brand needs you in it.
You'll also get a weekly private podcast giving you the creative strategies you need to stay relevant, marketing campaigns to grow your email list, and weekly email templates to keep you top of mind with your database, and so much more.
We have great news for you. Even though the doors to Mask aren't open currently, you can get in now with our link. Mask recently changed from a 1-year commitment to monthly, so it's a great time to join.
Head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/mask and use the code HustleHumbly to get $50 off your first month. That's hustlehumblypodcast.com/mask, MASC.
Case study 001.
Fasten your seat belt. We've named them.
Yep, if you didn't notice. I'm struggling with the mental game of real estate being a roller coaster. I'm almost 2 years in and I need some encouragement and perspective from the pros. By roller coaster, I mean emotions of buyers losing a bid, busy versus slow, clients looking to move, then not. Hype me up.
I feel like it was a roller coaster for the first 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Like we always say, like years 1 through 3 is you have to make it there. Okay. So you're almost there. Fasten your seatbelt. You are almost to that 3-year mark.
Right.
Even then, like now when a deal falls apart, I'm upset, but I'm not crushed and devastated in my soul because
I'm so glad.
it's like your pipeline builds. You've seen the pattern. You've ridden the roller coaster so much. Look, Molly is feeling this case.
It's 001. 001.
Thought this was for real.
Okay, this is true. I will say one of my best tips for if you don't have enough past experience, this is a little bit tougher. If you're on year 1 and it feels like a roller coaster, well, you just need to get used to that feeling.
Because it is.
If you're on year 3, you need to look back at year 1 and 2. Or if you're on year 8 and you're on the roller coaster, you can look back at all the previous years and be like, well, wait, this is how it normally goes. The first quarter is always slow. Or like, you just kind of have to look at what happened in the past. I would also say, if you want to put together a brag book, I'll go get mine for y'all.
And while she's getting her book, I just had a client. Well, I had the listing and we're under contract and the buyer's agent has been delightful, but the house, my listing needs a new roof. And we've been trying to negotiate this. And there was a few times where, I just had to say, I can't make my sellers pay for an entire roof, just like you can't make your buyers. And she was like, if this deal closes, it will devastate me. And I just felt
doesn't close.
If this deal doesn't close, it will just devastate me. And I just felt so bad for her. And she was like, you're so calm. I said, I want this to go through, but I cannot I'm going to do everything I can. But at some point,
right,
it's just out of my hands. We always say like, you can't have the monkey on your back.
Yeah. So I'll give you a view of me. Here is the brag book. Y'all, if you have a bad day in real estate, this is what you need. It's all of my client reviews. It's all of the cards that they sent me. It's just anything that was nice that happened to me during my now nearly 18, 19-year career. Start now. Go print up your reviews. Make yourself something that's tangible that you're like, this is why I do it. This is what's going to it's going to come back around. The roller coaster ride will go again. We'll be at the top.
Yeah. And if that doesn't work, you can try the Mean Girls version, which is a burn
book. Just burn those clients.
This client is so aggravating. And that's really therapeutic as well. So.
Either way, this really says a lot about our personalities. I'm like, here's the brag book. Put all your reviews in it. And you're like, get a burn book. Okay, poor Bobby just left her market, but she's going to do it. Bobby, you're going to do it.
You got this, Bobby.
Okay. Brittany says her grandma bought a house and wants to sell the house she bought and now wants to keep the house and sell the house she lives in. I totally understand this. She has called me every day this weekend. Change your mind from one house.
That's a roller coaster,
Yep.
There's so many roller coasters.
So many. Okay. Are you ready for the next one?
Sure.
Case study 002. You want to read this one?
Panning for gold. I'm very good at working with buyers that are ready and looking. I'm not so great at prospecting and nurturing for future clients yet. It's overwhelming with all of the available options on how to do that I shut down the thought of what to do to nurture the database. Any thoughts about this are appreciated. I also thought this would be a perfect case study number 2 because it follows case study number 1. Two different people, but if you can't do number 2, you're going to be on the roller coaster much longer. What I have found, especially with newer agents or slower agents in their moments of slowness, is that when they get a client, they finally get someone and get them under contract, they are so consumed by that transaction. They let everything else go to the wayside. They are not handwriting any letters. They're not doing any open houses. Like all the things that would get them business stop because they're so consumed with their transaction. Well, then the transaction closes and you're back at the bottom of the roller coaster having to start from scratch every single time. You can't stop the basics.
It's not either or, it's and. You have to do both things and both, right? I also wanted to say that prospecting does not have to be painful. And if you don't know where to start with your database, my tangible tip for this would be go to the column, last contact, and actually just make it your goal to fill that out. Like get through your whole database. When is the last time you contacted them? Once you get to the bottom, you start back at the top and then you go down again.
And y'all, I'm not picking up the phone calling 27 people. Like I know that there's so many things out there that say, if you're not picking up the phone and just, y'all, I told Katie on Tuesday when we were together, my phone won't stop ringing. It just rings and it rings. And if it's someone that I cannot answer, like I have my dear sweet roofer who I adore and he helps me out so much, but I'm like, this could be a text message or don't call me at all. You know, it's like, if I don't have to answer, I'm not. But that being said, it could be as simple as going to that person's social media and commenting on their last post. That could be wishing certain people happy birthday for that day. I mean, we're talking so simple, but all it takes is you popping into their life a little bit. So much pressure is put on nurturing and working the database. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that hard. Brittany said, Alissa just said text message. Is she now texting instead of emailing?
I was thinking that in my head, but I was going to let her.
But you know better.
I know better.
You know better. I do text with clients
and vendor for sure.
Yeah, vendors, you know, I just try not to do it after hours. Like I'm not going to, I'm available.
Texting perimeters. Don't text her a house.
Yes.
Don't
if you text me a house, I'm going to ask you to email it to me so that I can run comps and check disclosures. Okay.
Oh my, okay, we're on a situation study. So
yes, we have an actual situation study.
We're mixing in.
Okay, this case study is called Come Get Your Shh. Okay, you want to read it?
Sure. Seller needs to sell land. Deceased seller's mobile home is still on property with a $10,000 mortgage not being paid and the bank is foreclosing. Cannot list land until unlivable mobile home is removed. What to do now?
So just to recap, this agent has a piece of land that she needs to sell. She needs to get it listed. The problem is the seller said that there is a mobile home on the property that at one point belonged to seller's sister.
And the bank has now come and locked it up.
Yes, the bank has put locks on it. It has gone into foreclosure because it had a mortgage on it.
But the bank won't come and get it.
The bank will not come and get it. And she cannot list the land until she knows when the mobile home will be moved off of the land. This is very tricky, you know?
So, does anyone have any solutions for this? We would love to source some crowd data for this person who asked us this question. We have an idea. It took a minute to get there, but...
Could you put it up for auction or something?
You can't because
they don't own it.
You don't own it anymore. The bank does. If you could have tried to sell it before the bank took it back. We also talked about arson. James, we did.
We had 2 arsons in here, just for the record.
We like where your head's at. We thought that is an option.
Yeah, but the buyer can't remove. I mean, it doesn't belong to the seller. The seller can't sell it. It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the bank.
It's no longer their sister's. Sister has passed and bank has taken it back.
But they haven't.
And the bank is not coming and physically removing it. They came and put locks on it, but they will not remove it.
And they can't talk to anyone at the bank. They won't talk to them. And my final say on this is to call the sheriff.
Yes, that's what we decided is that it is somebody else's property on your land.
Like, come get your...
So the seller needs to call the local sheriff and say, this is not mine. It is owned by the bank and the bank will not come get it. So the local law enforcement needs to be called to get involved after months of inaction.
The number of arsonists amongst us is quite hilarious.
I like fire.
Well, I mean, it is the easiest solution, albeit not legal. Move it to the road. Yeah, just just shove it out into the road. I feel like the city...
That's a good idea.
The city would not appreciate that. That's
then
called
they would
dumping.
Maybe come pick it up.
Yeah, but... Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. So anyway, what we would do ultimately after analyzing this case is we concluded that the mobile home is trespassing.
Okay, good news. Bobby had this happen, and eventually with multiple calls, the bank that was foreclosing finally got it moved. Our question is, the mortgagee that is deceased. So, I almost feel like someone...
She had to get the death certificate.
And then she can go talk to them. Okay. If it's in the road, someone else will have to take it away. Yes, I would.
So Jordan is worried about a potential cloud on title, but here's the thing. The title is not affecting the land at all. The title is strictly tied to
Because the mobile home wasn't always there. When this person acquired the mortgage for the loan for this mobile home, it was in a different location, and this mobile home was moved to this piece of land at some point in time. Okay, let's move on.
Excellent.
Case study number 3. Quality over quantity. I'm feeling a bit discouraged. I know mindset is everything. I would say yes.
Yeah.
I have a mindset of steel. I haven't closed on a home since September. My market is tough right now. And as a younger person, 22, I feel like I have to fight tooth and nail to get taken seriously. I have experience in the industry, 1.5 million volume closed my first year. I've done at least 8 open houses a month for the past year. I'm at a loss. My business is spiraling. I've had to start nannying to make ends meet. Oh, and thanks for letting me vent. I don't know what to do. I love real estate. It's truly my passion. I want to make it work terribly. I make 2 years in the business this August, and maybe I just need to hear some encouragement. LOL. This felt good to let it out, people.
That's what we're here for. We're just letting it out today. Again, year 1 through 3. Don't say we didn't tell you so. Year 1 through 3 is the hardest, especially year 1 through 3 right now. With all these changes, we might have to change that with years 1 through 4.
Right.
Like years 1 through 4 are the new hardest years to get through. And I think also just saying, and Victoria, New Orleans is tough. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a question too of asking, are my expectations being set properly? I always said, I think I succeeded so much because Connie told me, if you sell a house your first year, we're going to celebrate. And I was like, oh.
For a whole year.
So when I sold a couple, I was like really celebrating. But if I thought I was supposed to sell 10 my first year, I might have been disappointed. But my expectations were set properly to say, like, this is the market. And this applies to anybody, not just those who are new. We are in a tough market across the board with changes, with interest rates. Your year may not look like your years prior. So asking yourself, am I doing all that I can? Are my expectations set correctly? I know Katie also wanted to touch on the 8 open houses a month.
Yes. Okay. That's where we get the quality over quantity. So asking some questions about like, what is the follow-up after? Like, what is the success rate of getting people to sign in? What can we do with this information once we have it? Would it maybe be better to do 4 open houses as well instead of 8? Are we at the same house 8 times? Like, is that one just getting burned out? No one needs to see it anymore?
8's a lot. And your resources may be used better with less quantity.
It's also quite a mental load.
Yeah.
That's going to burn anyone out 8 in a month. So maybe 4 quality over 8 quantity would be an idea.
I know when I first started, I was doing them every weekend. I didn't have kids and I had all this time. And then when I switched to every other weekend, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I felt like I went into each open house like so energized because I had a week off, that I was connecting better with the people who came in because I was actually excited to be there. So just really analyze like what you're doing now. Even for those of you who are here that are feeling discouraged and aren't seeing the results as you hoped, analyze, being really truthful with yourself, sort of doing like the time audit that we like to talk about. What am I actually doing today? Yes, I went to podcast therapy and that's great and helpful, but did I reach out to anybody in my database today? Have I written any notes lately? Like, what have I actually done that's going to get me business? And then analyze how you're doing that. Are you being intentional with the leads that you do have from your open houses and other sources? It's tough, but I think just making sure that you stay honest with yourself about what's working and what's not working.
Molly's really letting it out. Yes, Molly, this is true. But I, again,
read what she said.
Okay, fine. It's just so sucks when you're trying to ramp in without a financial ramp and having to work another job at the same time, because we all know part-time real estate won't create an actual viable career. Blah. letting it out, guys. I would agree and disagree with some of those statements. I think if you think that it's hard,
It is.
and there's nothing you can do for free, then that's what your reality is going to be. If you think you can't be successful as a part-time agent, then that is what your reality is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say, I can be part-time for 6 months and build the runway I need,
Mm-hmm.
I can. Or if you can say, doing an open house doesn't cost me any money. It only costs me some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to meet 2 new buyers.
And bring something to do maybe during that open house. So if it's slow, at least you knocked out some database reach outs, at least you handwrote some letters, at least you did some things while you were there. It's like your office for 2 hours. And if somebody walks in the door, it's just a bonus that you got to meet somebody.
Yeah.
I bartended my first 18 months or however long. It was maybe not 18 months, but I had to. I was not married. Even after I was married, it was, hard financially for sure. But I had to wait tables and things like that until I got my save. And I was living super tight. I wasn't spending any money on marketing promo materials because I didn't have any money.
Well, look, we have the benefit of social media, which
Mm-hmm.
at that point in time wasn't where it is now. So I think there are definite free ways you can spend your time to get some business. I would also like to say to Victoria, think about if you've been doing this many open houses, go back and follow up with some of those way old attendees. It sounds like you've been doing this for a long time. Maybe on the time, save your time. Don't go to another open house, but go back to the old ones and be like, hey, are you still...
Mm-hmm.
Have you given up on this?
Have you given up on this?
Have you given up on your home search?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get them to answer. All right. What else? Jen says,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was good. Good advice, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
My mindset on open houses is that 2 hours set aside on Sundays to work on my business, whether it's in the open house, planning my week or working on my computer.
And Jordan, that's how
great.
I have to think about it too. Like once I get there, getting there is hard. It's Sunday. I want to just stay in my sweatpants. And then you get there and you're so productive for 2 hours that I've never regretted doing one.
No.
It's just hard. It's like the gym. It's hard to get there sometimes, but you're never going to regret going.
I would like to say this last comment. We'll move on to next case study. Molly, this is a perfect way to say it. She can make it as a part-time agent with a full-time passion.
There you go, Molly. Look at you.
That's it. That's the answer.
That is the answer.
Okay, case study number, they were just getting crazy. Case study number 4. Do you want to read that one?
Pressure makes diamonds. Dr. Katie and Dr. Alissa.
So silly.
Crack us up. I'm struggling with feeling confident and knowing my worth when I have a difficult client. I don't want to feel like I am cowering down to them. I want to stand confident. Help me with my mindset.
Okay, great. We would love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult clients don't last forever.
They don't.
Silence is usually interpreted as confidence. So just let them be. Let them say what they want to say. You don't have to answer everything. You don't have to fill the awkward silence. Let there be the pause. Eventually, even a rude client will talk themselves out of being rude if you don't give them any more ammunition. So I would say quiet confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do have a script, if you will, for if they ask about commission, because I assume this is when it would come up most often.
Mm-hmm.
I am only able to charge this commission rate because I only know how to give full service. I simply don't know how to discount service, so I can't take a discounted rate.
Beautiful.
I just can't do it.
I also find that I try to use their own words, not against them. Mirrored, yes.
Mm-hmm.
When they send you 8 houses to go see on Saturday, and 3 of them are out of the price range, and 3 of them are out of the area, and 2 of them have carports when they said they only wanted a garage. So many agents would be so quick to get them all scheduled without even checking anything. Whereas it may be helpful to send notes back to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that you had to have this. I just wanted to let you know after researching, this house does not have these things that you said. People are so afraid to correct or speak up against a client. And it might help you to go back to remember Be the Boss, the episode that we have about being the boss of the transaction. They have hired you and you don't want to go into the dentist and tell them what to do to your mouth. Okay. I'm like, you're the dentist. Just fix what I have going on. What if the dentist was like, well, what do you want me to do?
Right. No thanks.
Do you want me to like pull it out? I'd be like, I want you to tell me, like, I'm afraid this is a big decision. You tell me. I need you to be confident. And if you're not confident, you may lose some clients because they don't feel comfortable that you know your stuff enough.
Yeah. I have a tactical tip for feeling confident. Like, do you guide the conversation or do you let them? So for instance, if you're going into a buyer consult or a listing presentation, are you giving a presentation and then letting them speak, or are you letting them ask you questions up front? It's easier to do your presentation and answer everything that you think is going to be a question before they start catching you off guard, I'll say. And it will give you it's going to give you the confidence, and it's going to portray confidence because you're telling them what the situation is. Oh, wait. Misty says she worked in the dental field for 20 years and people still try to tell the dentist what to do. I have 2 more scripts-ish if you want for commission.
You listen to us talk about our systems every week. Now we want to hear about yours.
This month in our Hustle Humbly Community Live event, we are talking all about automation and systems.
We have crowdsourced all the best tips and tricks from our super supportive community friends.
And there's still time to join us in the group and soak up all of this amazing info. Head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/membership to sign up.
I can assure you, I will work very hard to earn my entire commission. Like, well, do you discount? Well, I can assure you, I will work very hard to earn my entire commission. And my last one was, there are a few discount brokers out there, and I understand if you need to interview one. I only know how to provide full service, so I have to charge accordingly.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And then they'll be like, well, I want full service, right? Or maybe they won't, and it's okay. Oh, yeah, Julie. Absolutely always do your presentation first, and always make sure that your CMA, like going over the market report, and a seller net sheet or any numbers talk is at the very end. Never start with that or lead with that or let them ask that. And if they do ask that, I always say, well, we're going to get through this and then I will cover that. Don't worry. We're going to get to that. But if you start with that, they'll tune out everything else. They won't listen to what your services are. They won't listen to like any of your philosophies for listing. They won't even listen to any of the listing advice you're going to give them. So you definitely need to guide that ship. Are you ready to move on?
Yeah, real quick.
Yes, Carrie.
We were negotiating a roof, and I was the listing agent. Same situation I just mentioned. And the buyer's agent, who was panicking over the sale falling through and just an emotional wreck, also was dealing with her buyer's difficult father. So dad was involved, trying to run the show. Agent didn't feel confident enough to tell dad he was actually incorrect on some things. For example, we agreed to have the roof replaced, and dad kept saying, make sure it's architectural shingle and not laminated. Laminated. And I'm like so confused because this is like the roofer that's done. And he's like, all this. The buyer's dad thought that laminated shingles were only 3-tab, like composition shingle, not overlaid architectural. And I'm telling the buyer's agent, like, what he's saying, it is architectural. And she's like, but the packet says laminated.
It's literally the full description of these shingles is laminated architectural shingle. That's, if you Google it, that's what it says. And laminated and architectural are the same shingle. It's the same thing.
And the agent was like, I'm so intimidated by this dad. I don't even know what to. I said, you just tell him, I think you're mistaken. Let me show you this article about shingles. And if you want to talk to the roofer, here's the roofer's number. But you have to speak up because the deal was falling apart and she was devastated
over a miscommunication that she felt, below being able to correct, when you really just have to say, hey, I think you're mistaken. Let me send you this article. It is going to be an architectural shingle roof. To say, can you tell me what the difference is? Because when I'm looking it up, laminated is architectural. So if you could describe to me what the difference is, then I'll be sure you get the right shingle. He's probably describing something else and using the wrong word. I would also just like to end by saying that
I feel like my most difficult clients have made me as good as I am today.
Yeah.
Like, I love a good obstacle at this point.
Right.
It's those closing tables where I had to earn my full commission by being the one to overcome the obstacle that brought the value. But if you're not confident enough to problem solve, give guidance and direction, bring the value, then you may not even make it to the closing table. So some of it is just experience related, but making sure that you find your voice in the transaction and go back and listen to Be the Boss to get some inspiration.
Yeah, be the boss.
Be the boss.
Okay. Oh, we're on a situation.
Okay, I'm going to read this one.
Okay.
I have a house listed for sale. Great house, great location. The problem is the seller overdosed and died in the home.
Let's take it down.
Sorry.
Okay.
The prostitutes he was with at that time took advantage of the situation and squatted there for a few days with the body.
I just still can't believe this is a real thing.
Real thing. All of this was well documented in a news article
With the address.
with the address and a photo of the house. Lots of offers were made only for them to quickly cancel because they Googled the address and found the article.
I would love to hear the advice on this one.
Okay. Well,
To be fair, they just closed the door of the room where poor deceased fellow
he
was.
died and they just closed the door and was like, we have a free house to ourselves. Let's go eat the food in the refrigerator.
Just a follow up. Were they arrested? Were these people who stayed in the house arrested?
It's being investigated.
Okay.
Still.
Okay.
This was my listing.
Newsflash. Oh, Janice says, I've done a lot of estates, but never came across this one. No kidding.
The good news is I wanted to share this one with you because we went through 5 contracts and they would cancel before even having inspections. So I finally, we were trying in our Louisiana market, you don't have to disclose death in a house.
Right. Psychological defect.
Yeah. No.
But the news article was disclosing it for you.
Very much so. Very much so. So, what I started doing was telling people up front on the phone. Janice, we were also on a time frame to get this house sold. So we couldn't wait. Yeah. Tell me about it. So what we did was when I had a showing, as soon as they finished the showing.
Afterwards.
I wanted them to see the house.
Fair.
I called them. And I said, listen, I just want to be honest with you. This house did have a traumatic event that happened inside of it. We have been under contract a few times and they have canceled. So we need a buyer that this doesn't bother.
Right.
This is an excellent deal for this house. And if the house if that hadn't happened, the price would be so much higher. So this is an opportunity for someone to be in this area on this size lot at this price. So it's going to take a special buyer that doesn't mind that. So I'm just going to have to be like upfront with you. You need to share the article with your client before they make an offer because it was a cute house. Like people were writing offers. I'm like, you need to share the article with your client and make sure that it doesn't bother them because I do not want another cancellation. I don't want to go pending just to put it back active. So I just became very upfront with people and then
guide the conversation.
Yeah, I just tried to be the boss and not like swirl around it and be like, no, nothing to see here. It's just got beautiful oak trees. Like, don't worry about anything else. I just wanted to address it up front and say, this is the reality of the situation. It's a good deal because this happened.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you, then you can buy the house. If it's not, you need to continue looking and not waste our time off the market. And then what do you know? This family came along.
They were like, it's fine.
And I told them and the agent was like, wow, that's a lot. I don't even tell them what happened. I said,
read the article.
I said, I'm just going to send you the article and you may do with it what you may. And he was like, wow, it's pretty bad. I'm like, yeah. He goes, they could get like a really good deal on this house. And I was like, they can, if they're okay with this. This is why it has gone on and off the market because I keep getting cancellations. So he called me back and he was like, my buyers are excited. They don't even care. Like, this is a great price. And so we made it to the closing table And it took me like 4 or 5 phone calls to make. And it did bother some people, but at least I knew that. And they didn't waste their time, writing an offer. And it was so funny because when the appraiser went, he called me and he was like, Alissa, why is this house so cheap?
Well, there you go. Did you tell him?
I said, I'm going to send you an article when we get off the phone. He was like, oh, Lord. And so the appraiser actually told me once it closes, which I did, to put in the remarks, appraisers. This home had a event in the home that was published in the news that caused the house to be discounted.
Mm-hmm.
There were no defects with the home, but because of this event, the price was discounted. Please call me for further information if you're using this house as a comp. So that way it didn't affect the other great neighborhood that it was in.
Okay, great. We're going to move on. Whoa, to number 5. I've made mistakes. My struggle right now is staying on target. I struggle with ADHD and organizing all the system strategies to stay productive while also not spending too much time on stuff. I've made mistakes. Purchasing leads that not only cost me money, but time, stress, and clutter, paying for coaching that I could have gotten from the right mentor, taking countless classes that seem to leave me feeling less than adequate at being an agent. How do you tune out all the noise and stay on track with quality systems, quality day-to-day tasks, and productive tasks?
Mm-hmm.
What you got, Alissa?
You must keep it simple, so simple. The clutter will distract you from all the good things within your business.
Mm-hmm.
I like how you say, like, do not buy or invest in another thing until you have used and utilized everything that you already have.
Mm-hmm. Michael said therapy and meds.
Yes, therapy
I feel this deeply.
and meds.
Yeah, I feel like this. And yes, so many of us feel this. I think any one of us could read this and be like, yep, I've made mistakes too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Classify what work is income producing. Pick that work, make it be your priority. Try to figure out what time of day you're most productive. I am not the most productive straight away in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to happen. Somewhere around 10 a.m., pretty good. And then sadly, somewhere between 3 and 7 p.m. I don't know. It's just who I am. But try to figure out what those income producing activities are and tune out your noise, keep your head down, and just stay in your lane and focus on a small amount of work. Like, can you work for 1 hour instead of trying to be like, I'm going to have a whole office day? Like, 1 good hour is better than 8 hours that you keep getting distracted.
Mm-hmm. I love how Melissa said, I'm guilty of falling for the whole buying leads thing. I keep thinking it will be different this time, but it never is.
It never is.
I know. I think it's just really looking at, so when I think that the reason I don't spend money on things in my business is because I couldn't for so long, but then I became successful during the time that I couldn't spend money. Like, I became, successful in real estate by year 3 and was like getting awards and whatnot. And I did that all without buying anything. There was no pin with my name on it. There was no billboard. I wasn't advertising anywhere. I was strictly doing anything that was free. If I got invited somewhere, I went. If I was part of something, I was involved in it. I did everything I could that was free because I had to. And then it sort of just became my business model.
I think that's really good advice. And I'll have 2 other quick things. Be okay with letting things go. Like, this didn't work. I didn't like it. And I'm just pretending like, goodbye. This class, I don't want to take it. It's no longer part of what I'm going to spend any mental energy on.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing would be give yourself deadlines. I work way better with a deadline, but there's going to have to be something that holds you to it. Like, did you tell someone you're going to be somewhere or do something? But if you give yourself deadlines, then you will likely get more work done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that you said, like, if it's not working, like, don't feel like I have to finish this because I bought it.
No.
If you hate it and it's draining you, don't.
Just let it go.
Just count it a loss and move on to the next better thing.
Because it's already a loss and it's cluttering your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving right along.
Mm-hmm.
Molly says, I swear my millions are in rolling out a whole program just for how to real estate when you're legit. Molly, I would probably say if we got everyone tested, somewhere in the 75 to 80% of realtors are definitely ADHD because they don't have that risk fear. And since it's a commission-based business, that's why ADHD people and they're not good at working for other people in a lot of cases. it's a career suited for people with ADHD. So we're surrounded by people with ADHD. So like, yes, you're right. You probably could, but we're trying to tell these people not to buy anything else.
Right.
That's good. Okay. Do trust issues.
Trust issues. I've done well so far this year, and my closings are in line with my goals. However, I have this looming dread that the floor is going to fall out and business will suddenly stop. I keep doing the activities that generate business, and I need to trust the process. I think the fear is coming from the frenzy of the changing events.
Number one, someone's going to sell houses even when it changes.
Yes.
I can assure you.
Houses will still sell.
They're still going to sell. Let's see what I've seen the crash, then a bunch of foreclosures and short sales. We had an oil spill. We had economy issues. Then there was COVID, interest rate spikes. There are still people that buy and sell we had a giant flood. Like literally, there are still people that buy and sell in every condition, and they don't want to do it alone. So worrying about the floor falling out, there's still going to be someone that needs your help. I promise.
I would also like to say to case study number 6 that I'm proud of you. During the COVID years, 2020 through 2022, I saw a lot of my real estate friends buying bigger homes for themselves, luxury vehicles, going on some pretty fantastic vacations, not looking down on any of that, by the way. But I was hoarding my money because I'm always have heard, I started in 2011 and my dad was always like, you just have to be smart and you just have to be a saver and a budgeter because it is the roller coaster. And you had quick success, Alissa. So you need to prepare for that first tough market time where things aren't selling. You need to have some sort of nest egg. So in a way, part of your problem is a positive. It's a strength that a lot of people don't have. Good for you for being able to continue doing the activities because some people just stop everything. So, keep some of those good habits while changing your mindset about why they're bad.
There are some really good lucky girl affirmations. Do a little Google on that. And then my favorite, which you need, my mindset, not the market, determines my success.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to is it 007?
007.
007. Don't want to say I told you so. I'm having a very hard time making sellers understand that when they overprice, it hurts them in the long run. How do you also tactfully remind them you warn them if they overprice the home, it would sit longer and get lower offers?
I like to say, per my email below, where I sent you comps 3 months ago,
right
before we listed the house with my suggested list price, where you said no, and I said this would happen, per my email below, here we are. I think that's as tactfully, and I think that goes to just like documenting, anytime you have a conversation with a seller, shoot them an email after. Per our conversation, the updated market analysis is below. This is where we are. And I think having those weekly check-ins with your seller to say, these are the ones that went pending this week. These are the new ones on the market. We're the highest priced house, whatever you need to say. The problem is if you don't communicate with them, then it's a surprise.
Yeah. And I don't think you need to remind them that you warned them. Like we don't actually need to say, I told you this would happen. There's no tactful way to say you were wrong. I was right. But I do think you can say, I have a few things I jotted down. The market is telling us they are not interested at this price. Okay. The market is telling us, or you can try, unfortunately, the price we originally set missed the market, as I was afraid it would, if you really, really have to say. But it doesn't matter that you told them and they said no, because it's already too late. So what good's it going to do you if they admit you were right? None. Now you just have to fix the problem. Okay. And then I have this one that I usually say in the beginning, though, when they want to overprice it, because really this is a problem that we need to try and cut off in the future before it happens, right? Yes. If you don't have showings, it is usually price-based. If you have a lot of showings and no offers, it is usually condition-based. And so giving them information on how the market behaves, not what you want them to do, is going to be the fuel you need to get them to do what you want.
Yes. And these consultations that we're having at our listing appointments are going to be so important. If you can do a good listing consultation where you have the confidence to just explain what the market is, how things are going, you are going to have a much better relationship with that seller, and it will be easier to have those difficult conversations because they won't be surprised.
Yes. Okay. Love it. We're moving on. We're going to do this one quick. Situation study C.
Okay.
Karma is off. Okay.
I have a seller client who is an attorney. He's nice enough, but doesn't seem to respect realtors. I was preparing to list his house for around $650. He wasn't quite ready to list. Several months later, while he's preparing to list, I ended up bringing my own buyer. Since it's my buyer, he insists I only represent the buyer and he would represent himself to save the money. Since it is several months later, I pulled new comps for the buyer and realized the house is now valued closer to $700,000. What should I do?
What would y'all do? This is a what would you do?
Because he's still saying $650 because that's what I told him months ago.
Right. I mean, he's not your client.
He's not your client anymore. So you
in fact, he insisted you would not represent him.
So as representing just the buyer at this point.
Kara says represent your client.
Exactly.
You can only represent yours.
Too bad, so sad. You represent the buyer. You owe nothing to this seller anymore. So.
Oh my gosh.
So let's move forward and get that buyer a good contract on their house.
That's right. Okay. That was a fun one though. I like a little karma. Case study 008, Lucy and the football.
The constant near miss, or AKA Lucy and the football. This has been happening with regularity. I get a phone call or a text saying, I need to sell my house. This is my timeline. I call back and make an appointment. Depending on the appointment day, not always the same day, as I had no choice but to get another very part-time job, the clients either ghost me or say, oh, we're not actually ready yet, and then they cancel our appointment. I stopped printing stuff because it's just a waste. I'm starting to have a lot of trouble not taking it personally.
Okay. You say you rarely make same-day appointments. I think most of us rarely make a same-day listing appointment.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this agent was blaming themselves.
Like, I don't go right away.
I'm not fast enough.
They're going to change their mind either way.
Yeah, I had a lady call me Monday and was like, can you come today? I said, no, but I have Thursday at noon.
Right.
And guess when I'm going?
Thursday at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they will wait.
So that's not the problem. You are not the problem because of the day you chose.
I will tell you, historically, I have noticed selling your house is a lot of work. Mm-hmm. They may call in a moment being like, I want a bigger house. And then all of a sudden they're like, I'm not really ready to clean this place up and I don't really have to move. And so maybe it's going to be several months before I really revisit this, or maybe something happened in their personal life, but it is not unusual for sellers to do this. I've had this happen like a lot, right?
A lot. I think too, whenever a house comes on the market that gets them excited, they vamp up, but then they're not ready and that they lose that house. So they vamp down,
they lose their motivation.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so you're right. This week's episode of the stories we tell ourselves, it's not you. And if it is you, figure out where in this you could be, or where you could improve.
What's the follow-up after that? Just because they go, do you check in 2 or 3 or 4, 6 months later?
I always like to make sure these people are set up on some sort of subdivision report from you. You could do that through RPR or any other, like our broker has a program for that. But even if you don't have a special program that will send them a report, set yourself up to be notified of houses in their neighborhood so that you get an email when something happens in their neighborhood. And that's a reminder for you to say, hey, you weren't quite ready yet, but I just saw this house came on the market. I sure hope they get what they're asking. It would be a great comp. Use it as a way to check in with them with actual data instead of just checking in. Just seeing if you wanted to make another appointment, always go back with some data or value.
It's time for Ricky Bobby. You're not first, you're last.
You're not first, you're last.
My biggest struggle right now is winning business. Everyone seems to be holding their cards so close, and it's difficult to get a read on clients. Everyone seems hard to convert for some reason. It's because the market, I think, is also a little bit scary for buyers and sellers. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's not that they're just wishy-washy. They're just they're not sure if they want to enter the market currently.
Yes, I think it's important to realize that the market that we're in right now is causing a lot of uncertainty for everyone, sellers, buyers. Then we get in our head and tell us it's us because all of a sudden everybody is unsure and not ready to pull the trigger on this decision. So it must be me. But maybe it's not you. The market is causing this unsure behavior. Rates are volatile.
I feel like we need a meme of like, it's the market and like an agent. It's like, it's not you, it's me.
Yes.
It's
Sydney,
not,
make us
it's
a
not
meme.
you, it's me. So I would look, I like an affirmation. I convert leads easily to clients that close.
Yeah.
I convert leads easily to clients that close.
That feels good, even hearing you say that.
Oh, wonderful. All right, last case, friends, our last one. You get what you pay for.
I'm great with explaining my commission and what all it covers. I feel confident explaining my value and the need to offer compensation for a buyer's agent. However, I have noticed in this market, we are seeing more clients wanting to talk you down on commission. I know the typical objection replies, but I'm wondering if you have any creative objection handling or creative ways of making people think our commission in a different way. I have a few clients here recently who were referred to me, so I really don't want to lose them as a client.
We can go back to whatever case it was when I gave you some of those commission scripts if you want. Oh, Holly, tell us the good response
Holly,
that you heard.
type the response.
We'll read it. Holly's going to share a response. But if you go in, again, here's a mindset hack. If you go into the appointment assuming all sellers are going to do this, then they're going to do this. Or you might say the words that lead them to do this, if you will. So be thinking they're not going to do this, and then maybe you'll have a chance. Okay, Holly says, what experience do you have with buying and selling homes?
Please tell me. They say,
well, not much.
Not much, I guess. Yeah.
No, not much. Like, you have a full-time job. This is mine.
Yes. That's so good. I also had someone tell me, like, you're usually not negotiating a big number. You're usually negotiating like 0.5%.
Right.
It's not about,
it's not
I don't
big
know what I'm allowed
form.
to say.
Right. The barrels, bushels, I don't know.
It's not about how many, no.
Okay.
I can't prove my point.
We're going to finish Holly's. Okay. Well, so Holly, basically the agent says, what experience do you have with buying and selling homes? They say, well, not much. Agent. Okay. Well, are you prepared to take care of blank and call blank? Where do you find scripts? Oh, where do we
Molly, we're making these up in our head.
In our little brains that sold all those hundreds of houses.
Yeah. Okay. So are you prepared to do all this stuff, et cetera, et cetera? Then what?
Right. Well, you list all the stuff.
Oh,
well, Holly's getting there. Give her a second.
Okay.
We don't have to screen share anymore.
Yeah, we're done.
Oh, wait, no, there's one more slide. Let me let you see the final slide before we just chat it up. It's live therapy. That's right.
Can I? Yeah, Holly's like, this is too much. Let me just.
Yes, please talk.
Tell us, Holly.
I'm going to say, look, session 1 complete. It's time to hear from Holly.
Okay, sorry. I just was like struggling to talk because I think the key is like the tone that you're saying it.
Yeah.
So, because you don't want to come off being like, well, how much experience do you have doing it? So it's more like,
say it for us.
Yeah.
So they're like, I just don't really think I want to pay an agent. And you're like, okay, yeah, like I totally get that. So what is your experience with buying and selling a home? And then they're going to be like, well, I don't know. I don't really have any. It just doesn't look that hard. Like, okay, yeah, sure. I totally understand, why you might feel that way. So do you have any experience with like setting a price? They're going to say no, because they don't know. And you're like, okay, well then like, what about preparing for photos? And they're, basically you're just going to have to very kindly point out like, hey, I have a lot of professional expertise in like this and this and this and this. But I think the best part is just when you're like, yeah, I'm totally open to that. Like, that's your choice.
Right.
But if you don't actually want to do all these things, I would, if you would love to pay a professional. And then the other example I heard that this person was giving was they're like, I really understand. I recently had a similar experience because, my neighbor's like teenage kid wanted to, do some yard work. So I was like, yeah, sure. It'll be, it's really cheap. He wants to do it for not much. I normally have this professional lawn company come, but it's fine, whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, like the edging was crooked and there was like grass clippings everywhere. And, you know, half the time he didn't even show up on 1 week or whatever. So, you know, you can either go with this, which will certainly be a less expensive option. But if you want something that has like the level of professionality that I'm going to offer, then, you know, I charge a professional rate because I am a professional. So
Beautifully said, Holly.
Yeah, that was really good. I also, like Tara said, which part of my service would you like me to leave out?
I'm always afraid they're going to answer.
Well, fine. Tell me which part you don't want me to do. And then I'm going to default back to my other one, which was, I'm sorry, I only know how to provide full service. So maybe you're going to need to reach out.
It was a hypothetical question.
Right.
I didn't care what your answer was.
I don't care because what are they going to say? I don't want you to negotiate repairs.
I love telling sellers, you might need to interview other agents.
Yeah, like
I know that this is one of my favorites. Y'all are so nice. I understand that there are agents out there willing to reduce their commission, particularly those who are struggling. Unfortunately, I'm not that person for you. So you may need to interview other agents.
you're just like, I don't.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, well, that would work. But you have to come at that pretty confidently. You have to mean it. Like, you can't just fake it.
I only use it when I mean it. I wouldn't use it all the time.
For sale by owner, why pay a professional to negotiate against you? Amber, I don't get it.
Yeah, me either. For sale by owner,
Like, am I saying that to her?
like the professional is bringing the buyer. So the seller is now unrepresented.
If they're paying
the buyer.
Yeah.
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 That makes sense.
That's
Mhm.
fair. That's fair.
I think that this is just a good reminder that the market is very tough right now for everyone, experienced agents, new agents, all across the board, all across the country. And mindset was so much of the struggle, you know, we can't take these changes personally. We have to remember that it's the professionals that treat it like a job, a true career, that are going to thrive in this environment. The ones that are looking for loopholes or cowering down or just really being down on themselves, they're going to have the hardest time.
Agreed. This is our whole hour.
That was great.
That was great. If anyone has a concern or something else they'd like to talk about, please feel free to drop it in the Facebook group. We would love to do another round of this. But I think that's all we have time for today, friends.
The case studies were excellent.
They were so helpful. Thank you for sharing your stories. It really gave us some sense of what's going on too in your markets as well as ours.
Yeah, we were surprised how similar the emails were.
Yes.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. We're here with you, right next to you. Deep breaths. Tell Molly to take her deep ending breath. Okay, everyone was so happy. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
I tell Tate to smell the flowers and blow out the birthday candle. Smell the flowers and blow out the birthday candle.
Perfect. We'll leave you with that.
Yeah, bye.
Goodbye, friends.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Hayes, your North Shore lifestyle expert. I am from Mandeville, Louisiana, and I'm toasting the Women's Council of Realtors St. Tammany. So excited. We've had a great 2023, and I want to wish the new leadership of 2024 all the best.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to ratethispodcast.com/hustlehumbly and leave us a review or drop a comment if you're listening on Spotify.
If you have an episode topic or someone you'd like to toast on the show, please email us at team@hustlehumblypodcast.com.
Find us on social media at Hustle Humbly Podcast. Don't forget to find all of the free resources at hustlehumblypodcast.com/resources.
See you next week.